From Kansas State University, this is Agriculture Today, and I'm Charlsie Craig. There's a new form of technology for irrigation, which merges pivot irrigation with drip irrigation. This dragline technology applies water straight to the soil instead of the plant. K-State Research and Extension irrigation engineer Danny Rogers is researching how efficient this technology is. Rogers explains how it works.
Drip line is actually attached to the center pivot, which of course rotates in a circle. Therefore, the drip line is being drug along the ground. So we're evaluating it in terms of irrigation efficiency, particularly can we suppress losses due to evaporation. As you have wetted surfaces, that water is subject to being lost directly to the atmosphere as evaporation rather than being used as transpiration, which is the yield-producing part of the water use of an irrigated crop.
Irrigation innovators have tried this type of system once before, and it brought up a lot of problems. But Rogers says that the newer system is more functional and durable.
They designed these for relatively high flow emitters, so you have a relatively large opening, so you don't have to have a lot of filtering to make these work. They also put the emitter spacing very close together. These emitters are only 6 inches apart, so you can get a lot of water applied with shorter hose lengths. And so instead of having 150 foot of hose out there potentially, you might be able to cut that in half. And so then management-wise, it's easier to pick them up and move them when you have to. Or also, these are targeted for low-capacity systems. And so they might have to reverse the direction of that pivot. And you have these long lines out there that have to change direction, and there's some difficulties associated with that.
Rogers and his research team are monitoring all sorts of aspects to make sure that this irrigation system is sustainable.
We're making sure that the drip lines, we're making sure they stay on specs. The big project is to compare the efficiency of drop spray nozzles to these micro irrigation tubes. And it's more difficult to do this than you might think because with a spray nozzle, you can go out and you can catch the flow and you can see, yeah, it's working on there. With one of these drip tubes, you got even a short one might be 25 foot long that you can't go out in a traditional method and measure that to do this comparison. And that just tells you if the right amount of water is coming out, whether it's staying on design spec.
Although this new technology looks to have a positive future, Rogers says that it will still have to answer more questions before it can be fully efficient. That was K-State Research and Extension irrigation engineer Danny Rogers talking about the new dragline irrigation concept. I'm Charlsie Craig, and this has been Agriculture Today over the K-State Radio Network.